As they do every year, ESPN just put out their NFL's top 10 wide receiver rankings, and let's just say it was a wild one. We're going to break it all down here today, so now that you got the play call, it's time to go execute, because it's 4th and 1, and we're always going for it. Jeremy Fowler is the one that conducted this list, and we're going to go from 1 to 10, because the lower you get, the more controversial it is. Coming in at number 1, the best wide receiver in the NFL headed into the 2025 season, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, is Jamar Chase of the Cincinnati Bengals. For a lot of people, this is a no-brainer. Jamar Chase is one of them ones. He separated himself from the pack last year, putting up a triple crown season, averaging 1,700 yards throughout the whole campaign. Him and Joe Burrow put up an offensive season like no other, and quite frankly should have been in the playoffs and should have competed for a Lombardi. When you put up an offensive production season like they did last year, it was no reason for them to not be in the postseason. Unfortunately, due to their defense and their coaching issues and their lack of winning in close games last year, NFL fans and Cincinnati Bengal fans were robbed of seeing this great duo do damage in the postseason like they've done time and time again. Jamar Chase dominated in year 4, separated from defenders all season long and topping the rankings with about 70% of first place votes. That's the important thing to remember, that these votes are put in by executives and coaches throughout the league, not just fans. He pulled off the 5th receiving triple crown of the Super Bowl era, leading the league in catches, yards, and touchdowns. When you think of the complete wide receiver, Jamar Chase is the first person to come to mind, and he's a matchup nightmare for defenses. It's no question that he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and according to ESPN's list headed into 2025, he is the best. Coming in at number 2 is Minnesota Vikings own Justin Jefferson. Now these two guys are interchangeable. In my opinion, it's just personal preference. Justin Jefferson to me is the best receiver in the NFL, and he's the number 1 on my list. But you can't go wrong if you pick Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase, as literally they're both elites and in a class of their own. And in my humble opinion, I don't think there's no reason to go back and forth and bicker about who's number 1 and who's number 2, because at the end of the day, it's all about personal preference when it comes to these two receivers. The prior 2 seasons, Justin Jefferson was the number 1 receiver on this list, so it's okay that he missed out this year. I know for a fact that these two are going to be battling out for 1 and 2 for probably the next decade, if we're being honest. Jettas put up yet another elite season last year, putting up 1,500 yards on 103 receptions and 10 touchdowns. He averaged 14.9 yards a reception. So again, Justin Jefferson is one of the ones. And now this is where it starts to get a little controversial, because coming in at number 3 is Tyreek Hill of the Miami Dolphins. Now I get it, Tyreek Hill has probably built up a lot of equity over the years of being one of the best receivers in the NFL, but he is coming off of one of his worst seasons, and he is 31. And does he even still want to stay in Miami? I mean, looking at his social media posts from time to time, you really have to question if he really still wants to be a Dolphin. Don't get me wrong, Tyreek Hill is still one of the best receivers in this game, and I definitely still think he's going to prove that this upcoming year. But the number 3 spot is a little too high if it was up to me and I was doing the rankings. I'm not sure if him and Tua Tagovailoa can create that chemistry that was once there when they first got together. When we first saw this Miami unit get together with Mike McDonald, offensive genius, at the helm, we thought this Miami team was going to take the next step to be one of the best in the NFL. Alongside Tyreek Hill, it was Jalen Waddle, and we thought, oh man, this is one of the best teams in the league. But unfortunately, it has not been that case. Now I will say, Tua has to stay healthy, and if he is healthy, I'm sure Tyreek Hill can get back to his old self. But headed into this upcoming year, I think there are some better receivers that could be placed at number 3. Coming in at number 4, according to ESPN, CeeDee Lamb is the 4th best receiver in the NFL. CeeDee Lamb continues to prove he's an elite receiver. In 2023, he led the league with 135 catches and 1,700 yards and 12 touchdowns, all while dealing with injuries to Dak Prescott and a weak run game. He's been consistent every single year, earning All-Pro honors and putting up big numbers, especially from the slot. Lamb is dangerous after the catch, with nearly half of his yards coming that way. After that dominant 2023 season, that netted CeeDee Lamb a huge contract extension, and things were looking up for Lamb and the Cowboys. But in 2024, CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott dealt with a lot of injuries, but he still was able to put up 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns last season on 101 receptions. I do think CeeDee Lamb is one of the best wide receivers in this game, and definitely deserves to be on this list, but I do think there are better players that should be placed ahead of him. I'm not trying to discredit slot receivers, so him and Amon-Ra St. Brown are still very valuable to their team, but I do think there's a different game when you have to play on the boundary and outside. Coming in at number 5 is the guy that I think should be number 3, and when I talk about boundary work, he's the go-to guy. It's A.J. Brown of the Philadelphia Eagles. Without a question, he's a top 3 receiver in this league, and without a question, he should be the 3rd best receiver on this list. Since entering the league, A.J. Brown has been a go-to target for a quarterback. But when he got traded to the Philadelphia Eagles, his career turned up a whole nother notch. AJ put up back-to-back 1,400-yard seasons in 2022 and 2023. And take it from a Washington Commanders fan, he's been torching us since he got traded into the division, and I'm still upset that the Philadelphia Eagles got their hands on such a great talent. 2024, he fell shy of reaching that 1,400-yard mark, but he did cross 1,000 yards. Last year was injury-riddled for AJ, and also the offense was very still. There was a time and point where the reporters asked AJ what is wrong with the offense, and he said the passing game. That being said, AJ Brown was a big reason as to why the Philadelphia Eagles was able to lift the Lombardi this past season. And if you mix what AJ Brown has already done and what he will do, given the fact that he's only 28 years old, the trajectory for AJ is only pointing upward. So I definitely think he's the 3rd best receiver in this league behind Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, but according to ESPN, he's the 5th best headed into the 2025 NFL season. According to ESPN, the 6th best receiver headed into the 2025 season is Detroit Lions' Amon-Ra St. Brown. St. Brown has become Jared Goff's go-to guy, a connection that turned into one of the NFL best duos. Since 2021, St. Brown has racked up 340 catches and helped lead the Lions to 36 regular season wins. He led all wideouts with an 81.6 catch rate and posted 129.4 passer rating when targeted. Despite being undersized, scouts praise his elite instincts and toughness, route running, and ability to make clutch plays. He's the only player in the league to have 100+ catches and 10 touchdowns in the past 2 seasons. So to say the least, Amon-Ra St. Brown is really consistent. Now I do want to say Amon-Ra St. Brown is one of the best players in this league overall. I do think he's gritty and he fits the offensive scheme of the Detroit Lions with Ben Johnson to a T. That being said, when we talk about pure wide receivers, I don't think Amon-Ra St. Brown is better than any of the first 5 guys named, and there's a couple honorable mentions that was left off this list that I would much rather have over Amon-Ra St. Brown. And this isn't to discredit St. Brown in any kind of way, as I do think he's one of the best receivers in this game. I just think St. Brown is in a league of his own in terms of being a very great slot receiver. I'm not sure if the same production would translate if he had to play on the outside against those boundary corners. Coming in at number 7 is rookie sensation wide receiver Malik Nabers of the New York Giants. Now this is a very questionable one considering the fact that Malik Nabers has only played for 1 season. That being said, the season that he had showed that he'll be one of the best receivers in the game if he continues on that trajectory. I also liken this ranking to his good buddy Jaden Daniels, who was ranked top 5 in quarterbacks after his rookie sensational season. When it comes to trajectory, I think Malik Nabers is on a path of his own, as I think he will become one of the best wide receivers in this game in the next few seasons. That being said, I can understand some of the pushback from some people being upset as to why a rookie was placed on this list over some veteran guys that has been doing it at a top level for a very long time. But like Jaden Daniels, Malik Nabers' rookie season was like no other, and it's too hard to deny that he deserves to be in the top 10, especially doing what he did with the quarterback debacle New York had last season. We'll see if Russell Wilson is able to bring some type of steadiness to that quarterback room and allow Malik Nabers to really blossom into the best receiver that he can possibly be. Coming in at number 8 is Texans' own Nico Collins. I definitely think Nico Collins is one of the best young receivers in this game, and he showed time and time again that he's a legit number 1 receiver. Even though he battled a lot of injuries last year, he was on pace to have yet another really good season. That being said, I'm not sure if Nico Collins deserves to be at number 8 over guys like Terry McLaurin, Devontae Adams, and T. Higgins, who were honorable mentions that were left off this list. Coming in at number 9 is Mr. Reliable, Mike Evans. Mike Evans has been one of the best receivers in the game for the past decade, and I still think to this day, and even with this ranking, he's truly getting disrespected. Although Mike Evans is up there in age now, he's still putting up consistent 1,000-yard receivers and being a reliable weapon for his quarterback. Although he was banged up a lot last year, he still still was able to reach a K, and he was still able to be Baker Mayfield's top go-to weapon. I think Mike Evans deserves to be way higher on this list. Personally, me, I would have him at number 6. I don't think a rookie, Malik Neighbors, should be placed higher over him, Nico Collins, nor Amon-Ra St. Brown. Mike Evans has been at the top of the game for years now, and I think he truly is the most disrespected wide receiver in NFL history. Coming in at number 10 is the money man, Garrett Wilson, who just got a big payday from the New York Jets. And don't get me wrong, I think Garrett Wilson has a bright future ahead of him, but putting him at number 10 over guys like Terry McLaurin, Devontae Adams, T. Higgins, and Puka Nacua and Brian Thomas Jr. is simply a crime. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say Garrett Wilson hasn't been able to get consistent quarterback play, but still managed to put up 1,000-yard seasons. Well, that's why I think Terry McLaurin should be on this list over him, because Terry McLaurin has been doing this for longer than Garrett Wilson, and he finally got a quarterback last year and was able to have somewhat of a breakout year. Terry McLaurin is literally an older version of Garrett Wilson in terms of being able to put up 1,000-yard seasons with trash quarterbacks. Terry McLaurin set the franchise record for most touchdown receptions last season, and although Garrett Wilson's ceiling may be higher because he is younger, I think at this point it's simply a crime that Garrett Wilson is placed on this list and not Terry McLaurin. Now, the other honorable mentions alongside Terry McLaurin were Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, T. Higgins, and Brian Thomas Jr. And in my opinion, number 6 on down, you could easily replace those guys with the guys that were left off this list. I still think Devontae Adams is going to be playing at a high level, especially with having Puka Nacua on his side, and Puka Nacua being healthy is going to show why he's still one of the best receivers in this league. He was on pace to have the same kind of season that he had his rookie year if he never got hurt. All in all, I don't think ESPN did a horrible job. Although I disagree with specific spots that they have certain receivers, they got it right for the most part. I would take Terry McLaurin and put him on this list, same with Devontae Adams. I will move A.J. Brown to the number 3 position, and I will put Mike Evans at worst, number 6. But leave your thoughts and comments down below, as I'll be interested to hear your rankings as well. Great work on that play. You executed it perfectly. But line it back up, because over here, it's always 4th and 1, and you know we going for it.